Hello friends, JJ here, bull, boom, bear bust. It is Saturday, April 11th. Happy Easter Eve for those that are celebrating, or maybe you just like to steal the candy out of your kids' plastic eggs. Either way, hope you're having a good weekend. Got a lot of news I want to cover here today. We're going to try to make it a short video though, because usually Saturday is a pretty slow day for viewers here, but maybe it'll be more because so many people are on lockdown either voluntarily because they're scared or, well, we'll talk about that. In some places you're being fined just for sitting in your car, believe it or not. Today on tap, half of Americans' savings will be gone by May if this lockdown continues. The barter economy returns. We're going to talk about what that means. Food lines surge while farmers dump, say, product or food. Police state people fined for sitting in their cars, and more. Let's get started. Here's a recent survey that was done. 50% of all Americans say that their savings will be wiped out by the end of April. Now, we've been talking about this for a couple years, and there's been several studies showing that most people, technically, they live paycheck to paycheck. And I used to get a lot of comments saying, no, JJ, that's not correct. This is just fear-mongering. This is doom and gloom. This is fear porn. The American consumer is strong. Everybody's driving new cars. People are shopping. They're at the mall. Right? It's not many people living paycheck to paycheck. Well, here's just another study to back up the previous studies and previous reports that indicate that the U.S. consumer is, for the most part, tapped out. Most people cannot make it just a few weeks without a paycheck. And we see it now with the food lines, with the surge in unemployment claims. Was it 1/3 of renters are not able to pay their rent here just in the month of April already, just after a few weeks of a shutdown. And the whole people are driving nice cars and people are shopping a lot argument, well, when you look at the levels of debt, of course people are driving nice cars. People are taking out loans and a lot of times buying a car that they shouldn't be buying. People are at the mall, or they were before the shutdown, at the mall shopping or buying whatever they want on Amazon on credit, and of course debt was continuing to increase in credit cards. Defaults were increasing. Even before the shutdown, things were happening that showed us that the economy and that the consumer was headed in the wrong direction. But yet we're being called doom and gloomers here just for pointing out the surveys and the debt statistics. We show you charts and all the data about all the defaults and the late payments way before the sickness outbreak started to happen. And it's even people making $100,000 a year. I personally know people here in California that make $100,000 plus a year, and they're afraid to buy a home because the home prices are so ridiculous. Imagine making $100,000 a year and you cannot even think about buying a home because you're afraid that you'll be financially tapped out. Also, look at the shutdown. Remember in early 2019 when the government had the shutdown for a few weeks, and even during those few weeks we had federal employees that were needing financial assistance, and we reported on it here. Many of them were asking for money through GoFundMe accounts. They were asking the federal government to come in and pay them while the shutdown was happening. Right? It was a big mess. So even people making what seems like good incomes are also, a lot of them are tapped out in this economy. And we live in an inflationary environment thanks to the money printing, the bailouts, the never-ending lending and spending and pretending. Right? Everybody's trying to pretend they're rich, and people would rather go into debt and drive a newer car versus just paying cash for an older car and maybe having to do a little bit of maintenance here and there. Okay, here, let's move on to the next topic. There's some information coming out that the barter economy is starting to come back. And what do we mean by the barter economy? That means instead of people trading fiat dollars or paper dollars or digital dollars for goods and products, more people are starting to trade now. Right? So what happens when money is running low or completely gone? You have nothing but yourself and your assets that you can use to get what you might need. So you might have to trade items. Think about all these people that went out and bought hordes of toilet paper. And here is a Bloomberg article that talks about it. It does a pretty good breakdown of what people are doing. So when people are waiting in food lines, in some cases several hours for food, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes, people realize, hey, I really don't have as much food as I would need if this shutdown continues. People are unprepared. Many people are unprepared. Most people, actually. So if someone has too much of something, let's say you went out and bought 2 years worth of toilet paper, people at these times are starting to realize, oh my goodness, I'm not prepared. I don't have much food, but I do have some items I can trade to somebody who might have some food. Or maybe you do have some food. Maybe you're like people here in California. A lot of us have lemon trees. Wow, I've got all these lemons. Let me go see if I can trade the neighbor. Maybe he's got some extra eggs. Also, a lot of people out here grow avocados. Maybe you've got a few avocado trees and you've got tons of avocados. Hey, let me go trade these for, let's say, some fresh water. This person I know has a water purification system and I don't want to drink the tap water and I'm all out of bottled water, so maybe I need to do some bartering and some trading. Or maybe you trade someone that doesn't have any food, but they've got some gold and silver, they've got some assets that you find value in, and now you're bartering food for maybe some silver bars or silver coins. Now I'm just going to read an excerpt here out of this Bloomberg article about the barter economy. Since the beginning of March, unattended folding tables have begun popping up at intersections and at the end of people's driveways, offering everyday goods like rice, jars of jam, bread. Take what you need and leave what you can, the sign says. Also, social networks are doing some bartering also, or allowing people to barter, I should say, with posts from friends and acquaintances on there saying, let's swap some eggs for toilet paper. Right, and we also had witnessed a lot of this barter economy type of activity happening in countries that had economic collapses and hyperinflation of their currency. Instead of going around with wheelbarrows full of devalued currency, a lot of those people would trade and barter for items they needed from people around the neighborhood and friends. All right, let's jump to our next topic here. Food lines surge while farmers dump product. Now, on the surface, that just seems like a completely asinine thing to be happening. People are waiting in line for hours in some cases for food, but we have farmers dumping product. Why is this happening? Well, let's take a look here. Let's start right here. This is a tweet from Ben Butler. We are dumping milk in South Florida because there's no home for it. We still have to feed and care for the cows, and our farmers are still making cows in hopes that we can sell milk in the future. Hashtag still farming, and you see just the gallons and gallons of milk that's being dumped. Now what's happening is these farmers, a lot of these farms were set up for farm to restaurant sales, and all of their packaging and delivery systems are set up for that type of business partnership. Now in order to change that over to packaging for grocery store sales, for retail instead of to restaurant sales, that is a major transformation. You need all new equipment, all new manufacturing of the containers and labels and everything, and they simply do not have enough time to make the transition before the milk goes bad. Now I wish they would find a way to put it into containers and take it to food banks, but unfortunately there's so much red tape and restrictions when it comes to food that they have to get all this approval for different containers and safety regulations and expiration date stamps. And it's pretty sad, but a lot of these food banks are only able to give out items that are in packages instead of fresh fruit, or for example milk in a non-approved container. Let's think about this. Would there be some risks if they were to put this milk in different types of containers and start giving it out? Well, yeah, there could be risks with anything. But if you ask some people that are starving if they're willing to take the risk, I bet a lot of people would say, yeah, I'm willing to take the risk. Maybe I'll do the sniff test and see if I want to consume whatever it is, the milk or the items or the fruits or the vegetables. Here's another report here. This is out of the Appalachia Times. This is out of Florida. Vegetables, unexpected virus victim. And it's the same thing. These farms that were set up for farm to restaurant business, with all the restaurants being shut down, they have a whole lot of unsellable product. And it's sad because people, again, are waiting in line sometimes for hours for food, and we just don't have the system that we need to get this food into the hands of the people that need it. Now, this is what I think the president should be tweeting about. He should be trying to find ways to get this food to people. Would there have to be some transitions? Absolutely. They'd have to change some of the packaging laws and get rid of some of the red tape. They would have to open up a communication system where farms could look up and see where they can take the food. And there is some of that happening already. There have been some farms that have donated food to food banks and things like that. I've seen a few stories, but to see any stories where this much vegetables or this much food or milk has to be dumped is pretty outrageous in my opinion. And I'll just read the subheader here from the picture. A pile of ripe squash sits in a field in a homestead. Thousands of acres of fruits and vegetables grown in Florida are being plowed over or left to rot because farmers can't sell to restaurants, theme parks, or schools nationwide that have closed down because of the sickness scare. All right, pretty insane that we have such a system that so much food gets wasted at the same time as these people waiting in line. For example, here's a report right here out of Daily Mail out of the UK. 6,000 families line up in their cars for hours at a food bank in San Antonio as millions across the country turn to charity organizations to keep from going hungry during the lockdown. And here's just one of the snapshots of all the people waiting, standing by their cars, waiting in line for hours to get their hands on some food, while farmers have to dump thousands of pounds of food. It's just simply outrageous. Right? What a waste. I mean, as a culture here, as a society in the United States, we have turned our back on basic common sense in the name of safety and regulations. And I have quotation marks around the word safety right now. Does it look very safe with all these people waiting in line like this that are, about to go hungry? Right? So think about it. If I go to a farmer's market and I see someone that's selling fresh fruits or vegetables, and if I want to buy from them and I'm putting my trust in that person, that should be up to me. I'm willing to take the risk. Right? What's the next thing they're going to do? Outlaw farmers markets? No one can trade for food. You can't trade your neighbor for some eggs because they're in containers without an expiration date. Right? Maybe they'll come and arrest you or give you a fine for taking lemons from your neighbor or trading your neighbor because the lemons weren't packaged properly. Well, you may laugh at that. It sounds crazy, but look at what we're doing right now. We have become a police state here in the United States with this sickness outbreak. People are being fined for sitting in their cars, for walking on the wrong side of the road, and many other just outrageous types of cracking down on people right now. How's about this story right here? This is out of disrn.com. It's out of Mississippi. Police fines Christians $500 for attending a drive-in worship service. So these people are sitting in their cars in the church parking lot listening to a broadcast of the church sermon. And we've seen other cases where people have been fined here in California for walking on the beach, for watching the sunset. It's almost like some would call it a police state. I mean, literally, you could get pulled over. The police could ask you where you're going. If they deem that it's non-essential activities, you could be given a fine. And here in California, it's $1,000, or I should say it can be up to $1,000. And you can see the officer right here with his face mask on. And likely what the police will say is they'll say, oh, it's for your protection. We don't want you to get sick, so now we need to issue these tickets. It's only because they care about you. So remember, these $500 fines and penalties that you're going to have to pay, those are $500 fines of love. They love you. They just want to protect you. And many people are asking, well, what about the police? Aren't they doing non-essential services? Is it really essential for the police to go around writing tickets at this time where people are already financially strapped? All right, everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. Let me know what you think down in the comments. The police state, the wasted food. Half of America is going to run out of money, run out of savings before May gets here. On the barter economy, people begin now trading items back and forth because they're so low on cash and we're running out of certain items at the store. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Hope you're well. Hope to see you back here on the channel. If you like what we talk about, please give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It does help out the channel. And there's a couple links down there if you'd like to support us. You can help us through Patreon. But most of all, you can just comment and share these videos, and that also helps us. Thank you for being here. Hope everybody's well. Bye for now.